name is Lawrence Johnson, uh, born in 1977 in Brooklyn, New York. I joined the military after high school, spent 20 years there, and then after retiring in 2015, I went straight into education. Education has actually been a family business, if you will. I have a number of family members that have either been teachers, administrators, or in some way, shape, or form involved with education. So, relative to other kids growing up in that area at that time, I actually had a pretty decent childhood. I was still kind of exposed to, I guess, a lot of things that as a kid you don't necessarily want to be exposed to, but I had a really good mother who did a great job protecting me and giving me other opportunities to do other things. The primary decision to join the military was college money. Because again, I grew up in an educational family, a bunch of educators, so education was something that was pushed and really advocated for. So I wanted to go to college. When I joined the military, it was strictly because I wanted college money, and the recruiter told me, hey, if you come do 4 years in the military, we'll give you college money. So I jumped on that because that's what I wanted to do. So one of the things that I really got to do in the military, I got to meet other people. And that's a huge thing because, again, I'm a kid from Brooklyn, New York. Now, even though New York is diverse, Brooklyn in particular, at the end of the day, I'm just a kid in New York. I've never met anybody prior to joining the military. Like, I've never met anybody from the state of Wyoming or the state of Montana. And when I joined the military, I was exposed to a number of people on a daily basis, not every once in a while, but on a daily basis that were from somewhere else with a different mindset, a different upbringing, different experiences. So that opened up my world tremendously because prior to that, I'd only been around people that were from New York. Now I'm hanging out with people from Florida and Georgia, from other countries. And then when I deployed twice. When I deployed twice and I got to actually see the world, it really opened up my eyes. I have coached a number of sports. I grew up playing basketball. You know, that's the sport in New York. In the same way that football, soccer, is the world sport, in New York, it's basketball. So I grew up playing basketball. I grew up around the game, around players. So I started as a basketball coach, excuse me. I started as a basketball coach. Once I got into education, I actually expanded my coaching resume. So I coached American football, I've coached wrestling, I've coached baseball, I've coached track and field. I've coached a number of sports, especially because my sons play football, so I learned the game of football so I could help coach my sons. Most parents will say that their family means everything to them. Most fathers will say that their children means everything to them. I am no different. That is my job. My purpose is being a father, right? My job is a teacher. You can even say my career is a teacher, but my actual purpose is to be a father to my children. So when you ask me what they mean to me, I don't really think everything encompasses the breadth of what they mean. Like, I don't think the word everything is big enough, to be perfectly honest. They are what I call my alpha and my omega, my beginning and my end. Like, every decision I make starts with them, every decision and ends with them. It starts and ends with them. They're the first consideration for any decision I make, and they're the last consideration before I actually make that decision. The only reason I'm in Vietnam right now is because it was okay with them, to be perfectly honest. Not saying I needed their permission, but had they said to me, Dad, we don't want you to go, I wouldn't be here. But because they said to me, Dad, it's okay for us to go, it's okay with us if you go do that. Go to Vietnam, go do that thing you want to do, go be happy. It's the primary reason I'm here. They mean that much to me. Again, I don't get permission from my children to do anything, but they are a major influence on any decision I make. So when you ask what does my family mean to me, everything and beyond. My biggest worry is whether or not I have done a good enough job as a father, to be perfectly honest. And the reason I say that is because there's no amount of money I could have made, right? There's no amount of degrees I could have put on a wall that are going to matter when I'm not here anymore, right? No disrespect to Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos, but all these billions that they have are irrelevant when they die. People will remember them for that. He was a billionaire. He did this, that, and the third. But the legacy they leave behind ultimately will be more than money, right? So I don't worry about those things. I don't worry about the amount of money I did or did not make. What I worry about is whether or not I taught my children what they need to know to be the best they can be and be productive members of this world. So the thing that keeps me up at night is, did I do a good enough job as their father? I learn things specifically to teach them. That's it. I learn for me. Don't get me wrong. I'm a lifetime learner. But my first priority, my first concern whenever I learn something new, like I'm learning the drums and the piano right now because I've always wanted to do that. But I already told my sons, as I learn it, I'm going to teach it to you. And I've always been that way with anything. I would read stuff just so that I could answer any questions they might have about anything. There was a time when they called me Google. Not because I was like the smartest man in the world, but because if they had a question, I would just go ask Dad. And I knew that. So I would read and I would learn and I would study and I would have all this useless knowledge in my head just in case they asked me questions, specifically to give them answers. So they are, like, they're the center of everything I do. They're the center of everything I learn. So again, if you're asking me what my biggest concern is, have I done enough as their father? That's what keeps me